And now we know what it looks like.
Yes. We've got more room than we thought.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. Hi, Bob Malone.
Hi,
Thank you so much for doing this today.
Of course.
All right. So for those, I know I've got some new friends here who... props to Lizzie Ferdinando, by the way, who's in the UK, and she's just woken up at 2 a.m. to watch. Hi, Lizzie. Thank you so much.
I'm going to remember that next time you don't get up at 2 a.m. to watch me play. Just kidding.
Uh-oh. You're in trouble now.
Just kidding.
And hi
She's
to
our official Europe tour photographer.
I know she is. I met her in Italy.
That's right.
We met in Italy.
Oh, that's
and
right.
I swam in that
she was
lake.
at that gig. It was 1,000,000 degrees at that gig.
Right. She was really impressed that I swam in that lake until this little snake came along.
Oh, yeah, you guys were in the lake. And then that's right. There was a killer snake. The whole thing. It's all coming back. That's what she gave me travel zoo.
Was it a Death Adder?
Yeah.
Oh, listen, we should check first. Can you hear us? And is it too loud, too soft? Because we need to make that adjustment really quickly.
Checking mic number 1. Isn't there's your leader right
one,
there. Isn't this a lot of fun?
Can you hear us okay, somebody? Yes. Thank you, Dooney. My sister's here. My brother's here.
We hauled out the good mic for this.
I know.
Yeah.
You should see it. It's off camera. All right. So without any further to do, whatever. I'm Trysette. This is Bob Malone. Firstly, for those who don't know Bob Malone, I'd like to introduce him as the keyboard wizard. Who labelled you the keyboard wizard?
The New Yorker.
The New Yorker.
So, when that article came out, I had just gotten off the road, and I'm sitting out here in Nash Gardens with my wife, Karen Nash. And I said, oh, my God, the New Yorker called me a keyboard wizard. And she said, around here, you're just a guy in sweats. Take out the garbage.
Harsh. Keeping it real.
Yeah. And that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So now when somebody quotes that, I just think about how I'm just a guy in sweats who takes out the garbage.
Right.
And now that there are no gigs, I really am the guy in sweats who takes out the garbage.
Right. Well, Bob Malone is, of course, John Fogerty's keyboard player and has been for about 8 or 9 years now. Get him to tell us how that came about. But you have been doing your own thing as an extraordinary singer-songwriter, extraordinary keyboard player, obviously. So can you tell us a bit about your own solo act, Bob?
Well, I've been doing it since the early 90s, I guess. And I don't know what you want me to say.
Well, we're often sitting here because we're good friends. I practically live here with Karen and Bob. This is what we call Nash Gardens. And we sit here on the lounge at night and we shoot the breeze. That's why I thought we'd do this for you today. And Bob just tells me stories about, playing the clubs and all sorts of things. Like you say, you've been doing it since the 90s. You've got some stories to tell. In fact, Lizzie asked, what's the favourite show that you've ever done, and what is the worst show you've ever done? So maybe you can just tell us about that, which would give us a little bit of insight into your career.
The best gig, I don't know about the best gig ever. Might have been those gigs we did in Italy at Umbria Jazz Fest.
That was fun.
Those were highlights, definite highlights. But I've been lucky to play some really cool places. These gigs I used to do up in Santa Cruz at the Kumba Jazz Center. It's another great venue. Tons of great memories of that. And the worst gig, that one's pretty easy.
Do I know it?
No.
Oh.
I was in college. I was just out of college, so this would have been like 89. And I got this gig playing every afternoon on a boat, like a harbor cruise in Boston. The boat would go around a harbor, and it was the day cruise. It was all senior citizens. And we used to play, me and a drummer used to play every day. And no matter how soft we played, somebody would be like, "It's too goddamn loud. Turn it down." And one time we experimented with so one day we just decided we'd mime playing to see if somebody would still come up to us and tell us it was too loud.
Right.
So I'm just sitting there, I'm not touching a keyboard or anything like that. And he has these chopsticks and he's like pretending to play the drums. And like 5 minutes in, this guy comes over. He's like, "Turn the amplifiers down." They used to like see amplifiers and it was too loud.
Right, it's just a default.
Anyway, so that gig, so this rich guy died. And he knew he was going to die. He had like a year to live. So he divorced his wife and married some 22-year-old, replacement wife. And
to leave all his money
and left all his money to her.
Oh, wow.
And nothing to the wife. So he planned ahead his whole funeral, how it would be. And so we were working the gig and it was on the boat. And so the day comes. And there's like a storm. They really shouldn't be taking the boat out at all. So we're out, and the thing is going like this. All right, his two favorite songs were "On the Road Again" and "New York, New York." So the instructions were to play "On the Road Again" over and over and over again for the first hour while everyone was coming in, and then play "New York, New York" over and over again while people were leaving. In between these two excruciating activities, the boat is going like this. So finally, there's like a whole lobster buffet. The whole thing is sliding across the room. Our speakers go sliding across the room with the lobster. The whole thing. That calms down a little, and then we're all supposed to go out to the front of the boat, and they're going to throw his ashes out to sea. So we're out there at the front of the boat, and the wind is blowing in our faces. And they throw the ashes out to sea, and all the ashes blow back in our faces, and they're all clinging to the sides of the boat.
Oh, no.
And the whole time, the trophy wife is trying to avoid the actual wife, who's just furious, and at any minute is going to just beat the crap out of her.
Oh.
So that was one of my worst gigs. I had less genteel bad gigs.
Yeah, I thought Nannup was going to be one.
That one came to mind. Nannup was a piece of cake compared to
right.
No fight broke out.
Right.
I played a gig once where I showed up, and on the back wall of the stage there was like these 3 holes, and we're setting up, and the sound guy goes, "Yeah, that's from when some dude tried to shoot the drummer."
We shouldn't laugh. That's right.
That was also the gig that there was a trough around the dance floor. And I was like, "What? Why is there?"
Oh.
And the guy goes, "Oh, that's for the blood."
Oh, God. Okay. Oh, well, thank you, Lizzie, for that question.
Nannup, they just ignored us.
Nannup.
That was nothing.
I was on the Nannup. I'm sorry, Australia, but Nannup was one of it was pretty bad.
That was a bad gig.
And that was in outside of Perth, but we won't go there. So anyway, a lot of new people will be wanting to know about you being John Fogerty's keyboard player, I imagine. I was here and this was about 8 years ago, I was here when you got the gig.
2011.
Or when you went for the audition.
Yeah, I went for
the audition. How did that all come about for you?
I knew a guy who knew a guy. I have the same lawyer as John. Although that makes it sound like my lawyer he's a friend, right? He's a pal, and he's always looked out for me. Yeah. And we met. Probably we're about the same age, and we met in the early 90s when he was working for David Braun, who was a really legendary music attorney. He was Bob Dylan's attorney. He was Janis Joplin, Robbie Robertson, the band, right? Everybody. And he retired, and he died eventually. And he left the whole business to my guy, who was his assistant at the time. Anyway, the Fogertys were they had fired their keyboard player, and so he was lobbying for me to get the gig, and so he calls me. He's like, you might get a call from John and Julie Fogerty about doing auditioning for the gig. So I never heard anything. They found somebody they already knew, because everybody wants somebody they already know, right? And then that guy, so another 6 months went by, and that guy had to leave to go do another gig. So they called me again. That's when I finally heard from them. Yeah, and I just went over and auditioned in his garage.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I got the gig.
You got the gig. I remember getting that.
Pretty easy audition.
I remember getting that text from you. I was over in New York. You said, I got the gig. And I'm like, yeah, I knew you would.
I remember getting the gig and then just driving home from there and not really being able to tell anyone.
Right.
Because I was like, this life-changing event just happened. I don't really know how to even tell anybody.
Right. So to put all this in perspective, Bob and I'll tell you how we met. So I love this story. I met Bob's wife, Karen Nash, who's here. Oh, she's lying on the floor. She's not going to get
My
up
back
and say
hurts.
hi. I know her. So in 2008, 12 years ago, we met. Karen and I met in England, and we had a mutual MySpace friend. That's how we met. She came to England. I'd been living there for 2.5 years. I was leaving to go back to Australia the next week. She flew over she's a beautiful singer-songwriter, country singer-songwriter, guitarist, and she flew over to do a country music festival in the UK, and our mutual MySpace friend, Chris Corney, asked if I'd like to sing backups for her, and I said, yeah, absolutely. That's how we met. I flew back to Australia the next week. She flew back to America the next week. And we just hit it off. And then, of course, Bob came to Australia to tour. And she said, oh, you two have got to meet. So we met. And the rest is
And I hired you.
Yeah.
And you did my tour.
You did the Bob Malone band.
That's right. And then
That's
Bob
right.
started having me open for him and singing backing vocals in his band.
Two birds, one stone. It was
I know.
awesome.
Right?
And I didn't have to move my piano because you were going to play it. I mean, logistically, it was a real solid choice.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a solid choice. Okay.
Good value.
Good value. Good value.
I'm good value.
You were good
And
value.
so, I mean, let me just slip this in here. And so, like 12 years later, or 8 years after Bob gets the John Fogerty gig, who gets to sing backups with John Fogerty as well as Bob Malone? I do. And I told you in my, I did a little live last week, if you want to have a listen to me rambling on about, manifesting. But Karen Nash saw it coming.
I was like,
way before
we
I
need
did.
less of this and more of this. Sorry. Carry on.
Only he could do that. So anyway, this is the man responsible for me being in John Fogerty band as backup singer. So
It's all true.
it's all true.
You're responsible because if you weren't a really good singer and easy to work with, I would not have called you.
Thank you. All right.
That part matters too. The talent part matters.
The talent.
I wasn't going to
Talent.
send you over there if you sucked.
Right.
No matter how much I like you.
So I'm looking here. Hi, Julia. Shari's here.
Look, there's 2 Lismores.
There's a few Lismores here.
So many
Karen Nash
Lismores.
is here. Maddie's here. Cody. Hi, Cody.
What are those little yellow squares?
That's Trizzy.
Oh, I see.
I'm
Trysette
the
is yellow.
square.
Okay.
My eyes are getting blurry. I've been looking at the computer too long. Hi, Julia. Hi. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So,
Oh, my bare feet. Oh my God.
Ew.
to show you bare feet.
It's my second interview today.
You need a
Yeah.
pedicure.
The first one I did on Zoom with no pants on. They never knew.
I had to tell him to go and have a shower before my interview.
I even played piano with my pants off. They never knew. They knew nothing. Those
Always
people knew
young.
nothing.
Yeah, no, he was feeling really tired and groggy, and I said, well, you really got to go and have a shower because I want you to feel good for this. People
I
are
can't.
showing
She's
up.
like, how'd you scrub up?
How'd you scrub up, Eve? All right, a question I want to ask. I want to acknowledge that 2020 has been a very trying year in a lot of ways for so many people and a lot of grief for some people. And personally, I feel like we're all being asked to dig deep, reinvent, or just be calm, ride it out, do whatever you can. Bob, I want to ask you, is there a positive that's come out of this year for you that might help others, make people feel good? Or
I mean, I've learned to use a lot of gear that I never had, that I never, like I've got myself set up here now to kind of, you put on a show, and I got my sound worked out and my picture worked out. It was all like technological stuff that I did not want to deal with, and I resisted it. And I just did not, like, other people do that for me, and I really appreciate those people so much more than I did before.
Right.
I'm just used to like going up or whatever, and there's a sound guy, and a sound person will fix up your sound. And anyway, that was a positive. I mean, for me personally, I've been on the road since I was, a teenager, and I was pretty burned out. And I kind of had been wanting to take some time off, but it's hard to, like, for my solo act, like, it succeeds because I keep moving. I can't I don't have hit records are going to play on the radio while I'm not touring. So I keep touring, and that's how I keep momentum up and, make money, of course. And then the Fogerty thing, it was like, I couldn't really say to those guys, hey, I want to take a year off. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't see getting some time off in the picture unless I just really just bailed on the whole thing. And I didn't want that either. I just wanted a rest, So I got my rest.
Wow.
Although it didn't feel, that said, it doesn't feel anything like at first, a couple of months worth of shows got canceled, and I was like, that's fine. I can live with that. So secretly I was like, yes, I finally get a few months off.
Right.
But now it's just scary. It's all right. I'm in a pretty good position. Like I don't complain about it because there are people who are really hurting, and I'm not really hurting. It's more of an existential crisis than any kind of, serious. But I just don't know what we're going to come back to, like it's going to be different. I don't know what things will change. I don't know how drastically. I think more drastically than we think they will, or maybe less than some people think. I just don't know. I guess that's the part that has been most difficult for me is not knowing when we'll play again, not knowing what it's going to be like. Like if I knew, even if it was a terrible scenario, it would be better than not knowing.
Right.
Somebody's like, well, you're not playing for the next 3 years. And when you go back, it's, everything's going to be closed except for a couple of big venues. So I could adjust.
Right. We could actually make.
But there's nothing to adjust to right now except just playing at home.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you learn how to cook.
He cooks. He cooks really well. You've been cooking.
Oh, I already could cook.
Yeah,
my cooking game went up a notch.
Yes.
But now I'm like,
that.
that's right. Yeah, you've been having some. And now it's summer, so my grilling game is strong.
Yeah, it's summer over here. So, okay. So also, my next question.
So was that an answer?
That was a good answer. That was a good answer. You got your rest. I do remember you saying to me the last couple of years, actually, last year and the year before, I just really wouldn't mind just taking a year off.
Yeah, I was having a rough
good luck
time
with that.
And it was hard to explain because we were doing all these awesome gigs.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some of the best
It's not that
solo
you
gigs of my life,
work.
and it was all good. So there was nothing wrong with what was happening. Like it was a scenario I dreamt of 20 years ago. Come true. But I had no perspective because it never stopped. You know,
Yeah.
that's all.
That's the thing. It's once it starts, it's all on. Do you have any little? Do you have something personal you can share? Like any little insecurities that you've had to overcome or continue to have to overcome?
Oh
Do
yeah, I
what you
have
do?
massive imposter syndrome.
How did I know that?
Because you watch me pace around backstage before I go on.
Right.
That's my routine. Before I go on, I pace
What's
around.
it called?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter.
It's where you're like, the little committee in your head is saying, "Oh, you fraud! You can't do. Everybody knows. They're all gonna know." Especially when, like, not so much when I'm playing with John, but when it's my show and I'm fronting, and I go and there's going to be a big crowd and you're going to go out there and it's just me carrying the whole thing. Once the gig is happening, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not nervous at all. And I love it. But up until the moment I go on, I'm terrified and I'm like convinced that I have nothing to offer anyone and that it's going to be a disaster. And why am I even doing this? It's all part of my routine now. It's all baked in.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And he does this. I've seen him because I've opened for him a lot. And so I'll go to the green room and you can't speak to him. He's too busy beating himself up.
There's no talking to me, before.
No talking to him for at least 20 minutes before the show.
About 20 minutes. That's
20
when
minutes.
it kicks in about 20 minutes before.
Yeah.
Up until then, it's, I do sound check, and we have some dinner, and then we're hanging in the dressing room and everything's cool. And then it's like 20 minutes to go.
Right.
Or the guy comes up and says, "All right, you're on in 10." And I'm like, I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. They're all going to know in 10 minutes. There's no way I can go on in 10 minutes. Who are these people fooling? Who am I fooling?
Wow.
And then I go on, and it's so much fun to do the gig.
And
it's
then
great.
you're on.
I'm
It's
on.
on and off.
I put my cape on, and I transfer into the guy on stage.
It's fascinating, isn't it? I used to tour with Fiona Joy Hawkins, Australian pianist, and she for the 10 minutes she'd be pacing the halls, just pacing up and down. She's going, "It's just what I have to do. I have to pace."
Right? Yeah, pacing is
I don't know what
important.
I do. I think I just kind of sit.
You're way too well adjusted for this. You're like, "Oh, it's all going to be okay."
I'm looking over here at any comments. Ha ha ha! Everybody's enjoying this fee, so that's great. Karen, are you watching? So you can tell me. I can't even read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any questions coming in there?
No.
Okay, good. Because I've got a couple more before we wrap this up. What are your simple pleasures on and off the road?
I like skinny skiing. No, I'm sorry. It's a movie quote. Lacy underalls. Come on. Oh, I like to cook for you guys.
Yeah.
That's one of my simple pleasures, actually, is making a nice dinner,
And it really
doing up
is.
a whole spread. I like to cook, and read and listen to music. All that, I don't.
Be with your kittens.
Yeah, I like to just try to be a normal person at home.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me. If you're on the road for a while, you come home and you're just doing normal home stuff. It's actually exciting.
Yeah.
Like you can do your laundry any old time you want.
Right.
The luxury.
What about on the road? What do you do to, because I know now how it works. There's a lot of downtime. What do you do?
Now I'm just kind of going slowly crazy.
No, in that downtime on the road. Yeah?
Oh, on the road?
Yeah.
It's just, I find that downtime on the road, I'm mostly too exhausted to do much of anything.
Yeah.
Like I have a day off. Sometimes we'll have a day off in a cool city and go walk around, and I'll do that usually. But a lot of times I'm just like, after a run of shows, how this feels.
I do now.
Right?
Yes, but I didn't.
You do a run of shows and you have a day off, and all you want to do is be like totally immobilized, and you're on your bed, and it's all I can do to if I'm gonna go leave the room to eat. That's like a big event, Usually
That's the simple pleasure.
I get room service and I just lay there all day charging my batteries, and then it all starts again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I get that now. Okay, so we have a legitimate question here from Pam Welty. She wants to know, have you ever written down, she was being a little bit funny, but she's probably serious, have you ever written down any of your music in a way that a mere mortal can play?
Well, I've done sheet music transcriptions of a lot of my tunes.
Mm-hmm. Where
They're
can
on
we
my
get
web.
that?
They're at bobmalone.com.
Okay,
You can buy them. All the solos are transcribed on there.
there you go.
So there you have it.
Okay,
Some
right.
are easier to play than others.
Right.
But it's all, yeah, a lot. There's sheet music
Right.
for a lot of this stuff, and a lot of it's driven by, like, there's sheets for most of the songs that I regularly play, but then there's also some stuff. I haven't done every single tune yet. There's maybe 30 or 40 in there at this point.
Okay.
But a lot of times I'll hear from a couple of different people, it's piano players, obviously. And they're like, oh, I'd give anything if there was sheet music for this song. I'm like, man, I don't even really do that song anymore, but I'll do it, for them. It's something I like doing them just because it keeps my ears, doing transcriptions is just great for your ears. And it's kind of, that's actually one of my simple pleasures, is like writing charts. It's just a very specific kind of thing to do that you don't, and you have to concentrate on it, and you just block out the world.
It's like a meditation.
It's almost meditative,
Focus.
yeah, to hear notes and write them down.
Mm-hmm.
And it also just makes you a better musician, it makes you hear really well, because a lot of times I just do it without going to the piano or anything. I just do it in my head.
Right.
And then I check it out later and see if I got it right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Those things are out there.
BobMalone.com
BobMalone.com.
for all your Bob Malone needs.
Exactly. That's my line.
That's his line. All right. Well, I think that's just about it. There's always one of the bunch. David Ziegler wanted to know why we're both wearing stage clothes in the kitchen in the photo.
Oh, well.
Scallywag.
I think that was my big Thanksgiving. Every year for Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving we have, and it's the day before Thanksgiving. And we invite friends over, and it's ballooned up to about 30 people at this point. So I spend 3 days doing it. And on the day of, I just put on my nice clothes because I'm going to be joining everyone for dinner. But yet I'm still working on dinner.
And
So
I had my nice clothes on too.
You're not wearing your daggies.
You're not wearing your
Wasn't wearing my
daggies.
daggy. So I think in the picture, I was just about done cooking, and we were about to eat it. I was about to make Harry carve the turkey,
All right.
as is tradition.
Yes.
And then we were going to have our food.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's a epic here.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
On that note, what's for dinner? I'm starving.
I don't know.
Oh my God, me too. I'm
All
on
right, everybody.
I
Thank
gotta
you
get-
so much for joining us. Thank you, Bob Malone. I love
Thank you, Trizzy. I love you
I
back.
love you, Karen Nash.
Oh,
I
and
love
Trizzy,
you,
don't
Trizzy.
forget that tomorrow at 6, Trizzy's on stage playing her show from here on my piano. And on Tuesday, I'm on stage
Every
at
Tuesday.
6, every Tuesday, playing my show
Thank you, B.
on my piano.
That's
On my other piano.
yes.
There's 2.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It was so good to see all of you here. We love you all. Thank you. Take
Bye.
care. See you
See
next
ya.
time. Bye.